So we were always extremely aware of what pricing was in our neighborhood, um, knowing that we wanted to stay in the same catchment area for our kids because we delayed moving so long. Our kids had pretty developed friend groups, sports teams, et cetera, et cetera. We really felt it was important because we have the ability to. It's not like we needed to move for work to try to stay within the same area or at least within a few similar square miles. And so we always had an idea of, oh, this house is up for this much, this house went for that much. But to Jaclyn's point, when it came down to it, we have excellent neighbors. This house, the property itself still hit all of the buttons that we wanted, all the check marks. And then when you worked in everything, including all the friction costs of moving, the double land transfer in Toronto, tax implications, closing costs, real estate agent fees, et cetera, et cetera. It was within a margin between moving or actually building and getting the house that we wanted with all of the things that were important to us, that it was a negligible amount. And so at that point, we just decided, no, let's just go ahead and stay and rebuild.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I know, especially when you're looking in specific neighborhoods, that's what we get a lot of feedback about from families specifically. If you're looking within a very small catchment area or radius because of a school zone or because your kids or just in general because of your neighbors, it really shifts the balance towards doing something on the property that you're currently at versus justifying that move. So that's the equation that we deal with a lot of Toronto homeowners, especially East York homeowners as well. So I mean, in your experience with your friend groups and family and anyone else you know in the area, is that kind of is that the common denominator versus the stay and move discussion? I'm sure you guys know other people that are kind of in the same boat as you guys were.
You can take
Go ahead, Jack. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, for us, that was an important piece. And I totally understand both sides of the argument that, historically, I mean, even myself as a kid, my family moved from Ajax to Oakville, as an example, and that was probably quite impactful on my oldest brother. Me, I was at an age where it really didn't matter whatsoever. I think Jaclyn largely stayed in the same house throughout, but the difference is, that was because of a move from my dad's occupation at the time. We weren't changing jobs or anything, and so we really didn't have a necessity to move because of that. So once that portion was sort of taken out of the equation, I think that it emphasized the other factors. It brought them more to the forefront. And, my oldest is now in grade 7. So it was grade 6. So he's had pretty established friend groups now for sort of 7 years. He's pretty set in his different activities, sports, et cetera, et cetera. Same with my daughter. And so even when we had discussions with them, said, hey, like, what are your thoughts on this? It was, for them, a pretty
you guys can move, but we're staying.
We heard that more than once. Yeah, exactly. So that worked into it too. And then, you know what, like, even when I showed, so my business partner at work, he's built a number of houses before, and, I would use him as a sounding board for things. And when I showed him how thorough your budget was, he's like, there's always best laid plans. But the thing that spoke to us was the point that, he said it's more typical for budgets to be, like the going thing in the industry is, but you need to expect 10 to 20% above whatever the quoted price is. And I remember one of our very first conversations with you is that you guys view that as like unnecessary, that if you're budgeting appropriately enough, you should be able to come within a percent or two of whatever the budgeted cost was. And when I showed how thorough the budget was to my business partner, he's like, yeah, this is much more thorough and exact likely than typical. And we never once had, well, now this costs this much, this costs that much. So it made us more comfortable making, for us, the biggest, most impactful financial decision of our lives to this point, to allow ourselves to rebuild, as opposed to just like the ease with which moving. Now, it wasn't super easy. We had to move out for 9 months to another house, paying rent, like all these other sorts of things. But looking back at it now, we wouldn't change it at all.